Welcome, marvelous makers,
and art appreciators,
to the ArtSpace podcast,
brought to you by Lemon Street Gallery and ArtSpace,
located at 4601 Sheridan Road.
We love Lemon Street. Thank you for letting us record here. It was so hard for me not to say stop on by, because that's what I've been saying every time. Stop on by, stop on by. And now I just said it.
You should stop on by.
You should. It really should.
Yes.
Please do. It's a great spot. Thank you, Lemon Street.
Yes, local art. And speaking of local art, today we have wonderful local artist Jill Zgorzelski with us. She is the Maven of the macabre.
Oh, I love that.
She anything skeleton, anything quote unquote satanic.
I don't know about that. Let's say spooky.
Yes, we'll say spooky.
I've heard you called Spooky Jill before. Do you like that, or is that a pejorative
It's
name?
cute.
Yeah?
Okay.
I'm not mad at it.
Not mad at it?
No.
But
There's worse things that I could be called, so
Right.
I'll take spooky.
But we have lovely Jill with us today. She is primarily a painter. She paints on a lot of stuff. So, cause she'll do you do a lot of, I wouldn't say mixed media, but you paint on different surfaces and you experiment with different surfaces.
I do. Primarily, my favorite's canvas, obviously, but sometimes, say you buy a 5-pack and there's a puncture in them. It's like you're not going to waste it. So you're going to stick some more holes in there and attach what you have and turn it into something else.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll hit up like St. Vinny's and Goodwill and I'll find, something like some neat metallic thing there, and I'm like, this could use a makeover, Same thing with maybe like wooden trays or something, just like, you know what, that's got a good shape to it. Let's make it better. Let's give it a makeover.
you've got that vision. You're on the lookout. And you see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Definitely. So, what got you into art? What do you say?
Well, I remember drawing like as young as 5, 6, 7 years old, and I would say what inspired me to start drawing would be honestly books and cartoons, because that's where I was first introduced to art, through illustrations. So from watching different cartoons to going to the local library and checking out books there. My family, we were big readers, with my parents both being teachers. So, of course, they encouraged that in us. But, oh, my goodness, I certainly loved getting myself, children's books, because the illustrations were beautiful, So I'd say that inspired me at the very beginning.
Did you have a favorite children's book?
There's a few. There's one called The Witch's Handbook, and it was illustrated by Malcolm Bird. And the drawings of these witches and there were highly detailed but cartoony and hilarious, and I absolutely adored them. There was another author slash illustrator named Tasha Tudor, and she was kind of big in the 70s. She wrote stories about Corgiville, this little town that was populated by corgis. But what I really particularly liked about her work is the amount of detail she put into, I almost want to say a lot of her work, she framed it with beautiful flowers and greenery or whatnot. And her work's very, very wholesome, actually. And it's not really something that you would think that I would be into, judging from the kind of things I typically make, but I think her work is gorgeous. And like the woman herself, she played by her own rules. She lived in the 70s, yet she was infatuated with the 1830s. So she dressed, from that period of time and collected things from that period of time, like copper pots, which she didn't, just collect to stare at, on the wall. She used them in her life. She raised goats. She had a son named Seth. Coincidentally, I also have a son named Seth. So that wasn't planned either,
A lot of parallels.
Yeah, but she's another one. And then man, Jan Pienkowski, was an illustrator that made beautiful silhouettes in illustrated like a book of fairy tales, for example. So all the classic fairy tales, he illustrated them, and they're stunning. They're absolutely stunning. I highly suggest looking him up, because even though it's just black silhouettes against a colorful background, once again, so much detail. You know, like in the lace, the shoes, the trees, the castles, whatever it was, just gorgeous. So I'd say those were my most early influences. And as I got into high school, I discovered Frida Kahlo, and I thought her work was absolutely stunning, full of meaning, full of emotion, and I was quite taken with her self-portraits. And recently, I had the opportunity to finally see some of her work in person. There was an exhibit down in Illinois. I don't recall the name of the city off the top of my head right now, but it was at a college down there, and it's on loan from, the I forget the name. I want to say it was like Dolores Olmato. Forgive me if I'm not remembering the correct name, but I think that's who it was from her collection. And I think she was based in Mexico, where the collection came from. So that was like a dream come true to actually see her work in person, and I was quite surprised at the size of them. They're a lot smaller than I expected them to be, but like up close, my God, the detail, the brush strokes and the smoothness. It was wonderful to see. I was very happy.
Nice.
Well, I was going to say, when you were talking about the backgrounds, the colorful backgrounds, that reminds me a lot of your work. I mean, I have some right in front of me, and I love the little designs that you do just to fill up the space.
Oh, thank you. I was very much inspired. I love folk art, Polish and Mexican folk art. Both of them typically you'll see a lot of black backgrounds, but then on top of that, the bright colors, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be perfect, which is what I like, because typically when I sit and paint, I don't sketch out what I'm going to do. I know what I want to do, but I don't know how it's going to look. But I just kind of turn on some music and, just go from one part of the canvas to the next. Like, oh, this needs some more pink dots here. There could, a flower would look nice there. Okay, let's add a little swirl. Just go. Just traveling around until it looks balanced and right in my eye. So
I love it. It's such a cool contradiction. Like, you got the sometimes spooky subject matter, but then you got the cheerful things in the background.
yeah,
It's so cool.
it's creepy cute.
Yeah. What's not to love?
Yeah, well, there needs to be a balance. You can't have, happiness without sadness. You can't appreciate dark without light. So I like to have both in my art, because most people are both. Everyone's got a balance in them. So
Beautiful cross section of the two, definitely.
thank you.
And I kind of like how just, again, you play with that subject matter of usually something very bright and colorful, but can be a little spooky or creepy. Yeah. It just makes you think of the spectrum of emotion and everything, I think, a lot with your bright colors. So, yeah.
Well, we touched on a few of the questions we have already, but that's totally fine. But one that maybe we can elaborate a little more on. What would you say is your earliest art memory? You talked about the illustrations and stuff a lot. Do you have a specific instance, maybe seeing a work or doing a work yourself, that sticks out in your mind from early on?
That's tricky to answer, because I'm not gonna lie, I have a terrible memory.
Me too.
So I'm on the struggle bus right now, just trying to come up with like exact moments.
We don't
and
need,
whatnot.
nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to go, that's not her earliest memory. But just something that from early on that you think of a lot.
I'd say more when I got into high school is when I really started focusing more on improving myself. I really got into upon upon discovering Frida and her self-portraits, I really wanted to get good at portraits. I wanted to do good at faces. So I would look through magazines and, flip them open and use, if I'd find, maybe perhaps singers or actresses that I liked, and I would draw their faces. Or even in, photography books, I would go and collect, and I would always pick out ones that had, interesting faces in them. So I would practice that. I would even, use my own face often, because it's right there. You have a mirror. So I could do, the front view, tilt your head down, 3/4 turn, so that way you can get all the dimensions right, Same thing with, like, not even just faces, hands. I actually used to leave hands off a lot of my drawings or replace them with like a pirate hook, because I was terrible at drawing, the correct way the fingers and the bones
layering
needed to
them,
be. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? She can just have a hook. She can just have a stub. That's fine. So
I love it.
No rules.
Captain Hook needs a painting too.
yeah.
Representation.
That's right.
I couldn't even begin to draw a hand. So yeah, no.
It's tricky. It's really tricky. And there's another reason, I wanted to get, good at portraiture, because down the road, I started getting interested in learning how to tattoo. A lot of people saw my drawings. Oh, that'd be a cool tattoo. And I'm like, yeah, maybe it would. So eventually, when I got an apprenticeship at a shop in Racine, about the age of, what was I, 20, 21 maybe. The shop at the time was called Double Dragon. The piercer ended up buying it and changing the name to Eye of the Dragon. But when I was there, I first started at Double Dragon, and I had to get real good real fast, because a lot of the artists, left for different shops, and so I didn't want to lose my spot there, having just gotten in. So I'm like, okay, well, I better get good fast, and I did, and that was my goal at the time, was to get really good at tattoo portraits. You've only got one chance to do a good job.
Yeah.
So
A lot of pressure on that.
yeah. But now I much prefer painting. It's a lot less pressure than having to mess with this, the skin and the needles and whatnot. And,
Oh, I can imagine.
yeah. So I don't know if I would go back to tattooing anymore, even though I do like to get them. There's some fine artists in town that I particularly enjoy going to. Andrew Grasser is one of them at American Vengeance Tattoo. Love his work, and I have a few pieces of his original work on me, so I'm gonna plug Andrew there.
Oh,
That's awesome.
yay.
Yeah. Plug away. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
We're probably going to have some tattoo artists on at some point. We've talked about
I've
that.
got a few.
There's quite a number of really good ones in the area. So yeah, that'd be a fun show to listen to.
Definitely. Yes. And since you mentioned being a tattoo artist, and you said that there was a certain pressure with tattooing, is there anything else different that when creating in like a tattooed kind of medium versus like your style now that you prefer?
I think at the time when I was learning tattooing, what we called fat lining was really big. The thick, bold outlines, and kind of almost simplifying designs. Like the old school, like Ed Hardy kind of look.
Yeah.
That style seems to stand the test of time as your skin ages, I believe. Because it's like sometimes people would come in and they would bring me these beautiful pictures, and they would want it, as a tattoo. And I'm like, well, if you want that to work as a tattoo, we need to blow it up way bigger than what you got there, because the needles are you can only work with like what size you have, and it's impossible to do things a certain size with the tools you have. So
And the lines blow out over time.
Yeah.
It happens just with
Yeah.
your skin. So
And it was interesting too, working with skin, having to, well, you have to stretch it, and it's a living thing. And so one hand's got to, keep it taut, and the other one had to, at the time, oh my gosh, the machines they have now are so different than the ones I used. They're so much more quiet.
oh boy.
But yeah, I used to put a little smear of Vaseline on the heel of your hand so you could pull, nice long clean lines and whatnot. And
That's smart.
yeah, you didn't want to work on dry skin too much. I mean, that just hurts, So I always, put a thin layer on there. And when I was working there, they got me practicing lettering. They said you're gonna be writing words and names more than anything else. And so even though my regular handwriting is atrocious, I can do some fancy script, if I need to.
We've seen your pieces. You can maneuver that script.
I can if
Fake it till you make it.
That's funny. Would you say you have better handwriting with a tattoo gun than you do with a regular
Oh,
pen?
very much so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's awful. I do like a mixture of like script and I don't even know what chicken scratch. I don't know what you would call it. It's
I have
terrible.
horrible handwriting. I have a story about how bad my handwriting is, but we'll save that for another time.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Jill, what would you say is your motivation to create?
Well, quite simply, if I didn't create, I would go crazy.
That's a great motivation.
Yes.
Boy.
I have to. I have to. If I don't take the time out of my day to, I always have at least 2 to 3 paintings that I work at the same time. I don't know what I would do. I mean, it's like you go to work, you do your chores. It's like you got to have some sort of outlet, And
Yeah.
it's a talent that I've been, cultivating for years, and I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to explore new ways of doing things, new styles. It's just something I have to do it. I have to do it. I don't have.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have to, or yeah, I'll just go crazy.
You're one of, I was going to say, you're one of the busier artists as far as maybe shows and stuff. Cause I mean, you've had a number of big shows just recently that I can think of. And
Right.
A lot of local gigs.
it's a lot
you're
of
doing.
work, like the literal, like the works, you got a lot of things you're putting out. So
Well, I enjoy it. It's something that I have to do not only for myself, but I need to do it for the other artists in town as well. So if somebody puts on a show and I feel like my work would be a good fit, you better bet that I'm gonna, ask them, hey, is there room for me? And, yes, wonderful, I'll pop in. No, okay, then I'll make my own show.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do. I have all these different ideas that just they just come from anywhere and everywhere. Like I had one recently. I'll share. I was hungry. I went to Yee's, get some soup, and I'm sitting there and I ate my fortune cookie and I thought to myself, you know what? Because my fortune said, if not now, then when? And I'm like, yeah, if not now. I'm like, wait a minute. What if I got a bunch of local artists together and we each got a fortune cookie? And based on the fortune, we use that as our inspiration to create a piece. So it's just something simple like that. I'm just eating at dinner and I'm like, that would be a fun show, to see what everybody could come up with just based on that, for example. Or the other, maybe like a month ago, I bought a jackalope and I'm like, this thing is ridiculous. It's either going to be great or shoddy, and I'll love it either way. But I'm like, what if we had like a bad taxidermy show? And so like immediately, like as soon as like an idea pops in my head, I have to write it down or announce it or start seeking out other artists that it's their thing. They'd be a part of it. Because it's fun to put on events in town. We've got so many people in here that are so creative, and it'd be a shame not to utilize everybody's talents.
Right.
And it's always nice to have something to do besides, I don't know, go to the bar and watch the game. I mean, if that's what you're into, great. But you know what? I would rather have something fun and creative to look at and like have other people participate in. I just love the arts. I'm an artist. I'm natural born artist. I have to, this is what I have to do.
Maybe there's people out there that always go to the bar and watch the game and never realize that they would really like to go to the bar and buy a skeleton painting.
And it happens, especially because after 3 beers, sometimes they're like, you know what? So-and-so has a birthday coming up and they would love that. You know, which is why I like to set up pop-up shows in local bars. Like the Port's been very kind to me, allowing me to set up shows there. And Fusion, patios, these are all, you know, places that, UPT, they've all been very kind in allowing, you know, myself and other artists to utilize the space to, you know, showcase our work and sell. And it's wonderful.
Nice collaboration with local businesses. Very, very nice.
I always say a rising tide lifts all boats. And is that becoming another of my
That is your quote, sir.
too many catchphrases? I got to cut down. Stop on by. A rising tide lifts all boats.
Or you take those catchphrases.
Put them on a shirt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Put them on a mug. We've got marketing.
See, and you could collect them. It's like, well, which catchphrase is your favorite? Get them all.
Branding, branding, branding.
Here's mine. I like to tell people to make their own magic. And what I mean by that is, you know, don't sit around and wait for people to come to you because you'll be waiting forever. Just do it yourself. You know, you'd be surprised at what you can create if you just put forth a little effort, you know.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
especially when you have those fun shows, you help other artists break out of their rhythm too, because it's like, I got to make a piece specifically for the show because it's so crazy and cool and fun. So you're really helping people break out of their comfort zones and try new stuff and get kind of crazy and exciting with it. So.
I hope so.
Yeah, definitely.
Because sometimes artists can get into a rut, you know, and sometimes it's nice to have a challenge. Like, okay, well, that's why I like the themed shows. Like recently in February, we did a Broken Hearts art show, and I asked artists, what does love mean to you? Because it could mean so many different things. It could mean true love. It could mean heartbreak. It could mean anything. It could, you know, it's not just like, you know, sweet and like, oh, I love you. I mean, it could be full of so many, you know, roller coasters of emotion. So it's nice to see how each artist interpret the work or the idea, I should say.
Yeah, I think a person that did that really well was Sarah Ratliff's stuff.
Yes.
Her piece was just so beautiful. It showed you like how love starts kind of like in this happiness phase and it has its roller coasters but in the end it's still this one big thing that you just feel.
Correct.
And I was like, oh my gosh, when I saw that piece, I was like, my God, that sums it up perfectly. So, and it takes doing those shows to get those pieces and those impactful things out of people sometimes because they're just doing their own thing. So give them a prompt and people can go far. So.
Yeah. And I certainly hope more artists around here do as I do.
Oh, yeah.
Put on a show, pick a theme, give me something to work, you know? I mean, I'm always constantly trying to, you know, come up with stuff on my own. And I would love it if somebody, you know, came up with their own theme and, you know, put out a call for artists. There was one about 2 years ago, down near Chicago at the Zuby Art Center. There's the Fantastic Feline Art Show. It was cat themed, and so I'm like, well, obviously I have to do this. Listeners, if you aren't familiar with one thing that I get hit up for a lot, it's pet portraits.
Yes, definitely.
So I paint lots of kitties and dogs and even you know, lizards, you know, if you had a bird or something, whatever, you have a pet, you know, I don't know, you have a goat.
You'll paint it.
Yeah, I'll paint it. Yeah, you got a rhinoceros. I don't know what you have.
Make sure the name is spelled right.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, because don't blame me. Yeah, it's not. And that's the same thing with tattooing as well. I once had a young man come in. He wanted his mother's name. Her name was Patricia, but the way he spelled it, it looked like Patricia. And I'm like, honey, call your mom and double check. And it's a good thing I did, because he was incorrect. And so, yeah, he was like, no, it's spelled, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm glad you checked, because it's going on you forever, hon.
And it'll lose a little bit of the meaning if it's misspelled, I think.
Yeah.
Or make a new memory.
Right. Or like same thing, sometimes people get Roman numerals,
Oh,
and it's like,
gosh.
you better triple check that you are telling me the right date. Because I'm gonna ask you, are you sure before I start? Like back when I used to do them.
Oh, man, Roman numerals are tricky.
Oh, goodness.
So same thing with my pet portraits. You better tell me the correct spelling of your pet's name, because I mean, at least that with that, if it's wrong, I could paint over it. But I want to get it right the first time. So.
Oh, yeah.
How do you do the pet portraits? Do you like look at the dog or cat like in person?
No, I have them send me 3 to 5 the best quality photos they have of the pet, because I work off my phone, this little screen right here. And I know I could get maybe like a bigger screen or an iPad, or I could maybe trace the proportions to get it correct, but I don't do that. I simply look at the photos they send me, and if there's one in particular that looks, like the perfect, then that'll be the one. Or say they send me one where the face is super cute, but like the ears are cropped off. So I have to look at another one to make sure that I'm not missing any details of like the fur or spots or stripes. So that's why I like to have multiples, so I can make sure that I can color match correctly. And if there's, if the animal's facing, a certain way, I just want to make sure that I get it as close as possible, because it's important. Pets are family members, and oftentimes I'm contacted to do the pet portraits because they're in memory of one
sure,
that
yeah.
passed, and so I want to make sure I do them justice. So it's very important to me.
Oh, I'm looking at some right now, and I think you do a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I like how you do them in 2 different styles. You have more like a cartoon version that you offer, and then a realistic version. So you can kind of just have fun with it along the way. It's not like, oh, I got another pet portrait commission. Ugh, gosh.
No.
It's so, it seems like it's fun every step of the way for you.
Each
So
one is
it feels-
unique, so that's the best part. It's like each cat or dog has its own little personality, and you can tell when you look at the photographs too. And sometimes the owners they'll clue you in on their personalities as well. And so I sometimes use that as well when I'm selecting background colors, if they don't have a specific color in mind that they want me to use. Oftentimes they're just like, oh, just go wild. Well, I trust you. Do what you want. Which I love hearing, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I can do that.
So talking about projects and everything, if money and time were no object, what would your dream project be?
Ooh, oh man. Ooh,
You could take a second.
I will need a second.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think that far ahead. Honestly, tell you the truth, I live life day by day, so I don't necessarily have like a big dream project that I would love to do, because I change my mind so much every day. I get inspired, and I'll typically do a series of something. Like last year, I did a ton of mermaids. I was really inspired by mermaids, so I kept doing that. And right now I'm inspired by the colorful, the folk art look, almost like the Day of the Dead looking kind of style. So it just changes. Gosh, if I had all the money in the world, though, my lord.
Life-size
What I-
portrait of Frida Kahlo.
No, no, it'd be of me. I'd be vain as hell.
There you go. Mural on the side of a building.
Jill's
You know what?
face.
Honestly, that intimidates me. The large size. I don't ever want to do a mural.
Oh, working at that scale is just not your thing.
Not my thing. I have more control and feel more comfortable doing smaller pieces, and I like to refer to them as grab and goes, because I can make smaller pieces affordable to everybody. I can make them quickly, so I can have a large number of pieces out there for people to select from, to put their homes. I am impressed. I am definitely impressed by people that can do large scale work. I don't have the patience to work on something for that
Right.
long. I like to bust my stuff out. I like to sit there, work on it for a day. Just work on it, finish it, start the next one. I only have so much time. I got a lot of art to make.
I totally get that. And speaking as, let's call myself an artist outsider, maybe like a non-artist. So like somebody, yeah, like
You're an artist, Jake.
I don't know about that. We'll talk about that later. But like, I feel like it can be inaccessible to people that aren't part of the community or don't feel like they're part of the community, and having like smaller works that are not going to break the bank.
Yes.
And you can buy it and bring it home, draw inspiration from it, and sort of work your way in, not everybody needs like, a huge work to cover half their wall.
No, they don't need like some epic grand thing. Some people do, and that's wonderful. They have the space for that, and some people don't. Just yesterday, I had a friend. She happened to see on I did a live, a Facebook live from the art show I was at. It was the Dorian Gray art show, the 38th annual one. And she saw a witch that I had done in a frame. And she's like, I have the perfect place for that. Is it still available? And I said, yes, it is. And so she came and picked it up and sent me a photograph. And the piece was maybe, I don't know, 5 by 7 inches, small. But it looked perfect in the space that she had it. She had a bunch of other pieces surrounding it, a nice collection of small work, and I love seeing that. And I'm drawn to smaller pieces myself. Sometimes you have like a little spot in the house, like a little corner, like I don't know, like someplace in the bathroom or in the hallway or in the kitchen, that just needs a little pop of color, a little personality, and you find just the right thing. And I like to make those small little fun pieces for people to have.
Yeah, I think the smaller works personally work really. I like collecting them because it's like little like baseball cards for all the local artists. And oh, I need to get a piece by so and so. And then I just like do salon style on my wall in my office and just do a little Tetris and squeeze in pieces next to others and just fill a wall instead of having one large piece. So
I'm actually like you in that aspect as well. I'm the same way.
Gotta get them all.
Yeah, because it's like it's so nice to see like a nice big piece. If you have the space,
Go for it.
And I don't. But you know what I do have? I have a nice tall wall that I can, like you said, Tetris the pieces in, and I love seeing that. I love seeing like a collection of, various artists, and it's fun that way.
And you just look and you're like, that is the Kenosha art scene right there on my wall, right there. Got everybody. I'll try to get everybody.
Speaking of that, before we get too far, we kind of skated over a couple of things. You talked about your favorite artists and a lot of great local artists, but I just wanted to give you that second chance. If you have any local artists that you really love and appreciate that you haven't had a chance to mention yet, would you like to?
Yeah, there's a couple. One of my favorites is Jay Kalani.
Oh, yeah.
I adore her abstracts because of the color, the way she uses color and shape in hers. I've collected 3 of her pieces. She has some on display at Lemon Street. She has been a featured artist at Fusion, and I adore her work. It's absolutely beautiful. She's got a pretty good following, it looks like, on Instagram. So Jay Kalani is one that I would highly recommend looking at her work. It's beautiful. Corey Champion is another local artist whose work I really like. He does, once again, very bright, bold, graphic, kind of like stencil kind of work. He just did a show where it was nothing but celebrities, and I've of course had to get a Dolly Parton, that he did. It was amazing, and he was kind enough to do a commission for me of. I don't know if the listeners are familiar with Jones Good Ass Barbecue and Foot Massage.
Oh my goodness, I remember.
Iconic commercial.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, just do yourself a favor. It's I don't know, 2 minutes out of your life just to watch Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage. Just look it up on YouTube. But it makes me laugh, and so I asked him if he'd be willing to do a portrait of the actor that plays Toby Jones, and he's like, "This is the weirdest request I've ever gotten, but yes." And he did it. He made it perfect. So I have it hanging up on my wall. So that's another local artist that whose work that I've collected and
that's fun.
enjoy.
Would you say that's like your favorite piece in your home?
Ooh,
Oh, that might be hard.
piece.
Is that like
I
picking
can't-
like a favorite child?
I can't pick a favorite. I have favorites.
Yes,
So
gotcha.
yeah, but there's no one favorite.
But that one's definitely probably in there.
It's high up there though. It's definitely.
Nice.
Oh, I got a question for you, Jill.
Yes.
People love to comment on art. Do you have like a funny comment that you've heard about your work that kind of sort of sticks out in your mind? Maybe not even funny, but maybe just like memorable of like, I can't believe they really said that, or I wasn't thinking that at all, but this is what they interpreted.
No. I can't. The only thing that popped into mind was one time when I was vending at patios and some bar patron was there and he was asking, like the price on one of mine. And I told him it was 60 and he said, yeah, I don't think it's worth 60. How about 50? And I was like, yeah. And I go, yeah, it's $60.
Oh my goodness.
Are we at a flea market?
Yeah. It's like, no. I mean, like now granted, I'd be willing to haggle. But you don't tell me I don't think that's worth that. You're not going to
No.
get that. You go, wow, really? You don't think it's worth that? Wow, let me just drop it down for you. Haha. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Why don't you, yeah. You know what? I can keep the piece and sell it to somebody else. I don't.
That sees the value
Yeah.
in it.
When you order a beer, do you say, no, that Miller Lite's not $3, that's $2?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
It's what they say it is.
Yeah. And there's reasons I price some of my stuff the way I do, even if it's smaller. If it took me, X amount of time to do, it may be the same size as something else that's more simple, but, just because they're the same size doesn't mean they're going to be the same price. If like one took me 2 hours and one took me 6 hours, I expect to, be paid for my time. It's fun, obviously, but it's also work.
Yeah.
I take time out of my day to create beautiful things for people to buy. And I have been accused of selling myself short. And they say you should charge more. Like, okay, well, I will.
You are worth it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
But at the same time, I'm realistic. I don't overcharge. I don't ask people to pay, like what. It's like if I wouldn't pay X amount for something, I'm not going to do that to people because that's not fair. Because I've gone places and I've, I know everyone on the planet has done that. They looked at something and thought to themselves, really? They want like 300 for that, like depending on what it is, I'm not going to lie. Of course I've done that,
It's one thing to have it in your head.
Yeah,
It's another
but-
to say it to the artist.
Yeah. I mean, like, no, just think it. Don't be insulting. You know what I mean? But I around here, I want to make sure that anyone can afford one of my pieces. That's important to me.
So you're taking that slight dip in possible pay to make it more accessible to people and available.
Because it makes me happy to know
Yeah.
that people like my work, collect my work, and enjoy seeing it in their home. That means more to me. My mom used to say sometimes it's better to make a fast dime than a slow buck.
Gotcha.
Profound.
Yeah, and when you're trying to build a fan base, kind of, because you want people to keep buying from you and everything.
Certainly do.
That's a way to do it, because then you can offer tiers of like, here's this bigger piece that I've worked long and hard on, and
Yes.
so if you really like my work, you can get it.
Absolutely. And I've even gone so far as for certain people, if you really like my piece and you just don't have the money right now, throw $20 down and I'll save it for you.
Yeah.
I take payment plans if there's, a particular piece that's just a little bit out of your price range right now. I'll save it if you really like it.
You'll make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. I have no issues doing that.
Oh, well, that's so nice. Speaking of kind of making art accessible and available to everyone, is there any thoughts that you have on the local art community?
I'd say for the local art community, I very, very much see a lot of people sharing each other's work and backing each other up. especially on Facebook, a lot of people, will share other people's work and shows and are discovering the importance of networking, And around here, it's nice to see artists coming together and working together instead of being in competition with each other.
Yeah.
Because nobody wins if you go around trying to outdo everybody else and, bad mouth and you let your ego get ahead of you.
Right.
No, you don't want to do that. It's so much better when you lift everyone else up.
Like Jake's
You know.
quote.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Why not?
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's just so much truth to it. Like, just because somebody buys something doesn't mean they're not going to buy another thing. In fact, they might be more inclined to buy something because maybe it would look great next to this other thing they just bought.
Right.
And so there's no point in trying to shoot other people down.
No, and the other thing I have to say is I'm not the only person in town that, does what I do. Like as for pet portraits, it's like there are other artists in town that do it as well. And I think that's wonderful because think about how fun it would be to see a collection of your pet through the eyes of different artists,
Amazing.
So it's like terrible. It's like you don't want to monopolize it. Share. Sharing's caring, Get one from me. Get one from, your past guest, Jason Hedman. He's
Yep.
done pet portraits and they're beautiful, So I think that's very important. Who's another one? Stephanie Dunhama.
Denoma?
Dunhama. Why did I say thank you? Stephanie, yeah. Say it again.
Denoma?
Thank you. Stephanie Denoma. Sorry, Stephanie. And shame on me. Like, I'm the one whose last name is
No.
Zgorzelski. My God. Yeah. But, and I've seen her pet portraits and they're beautiful. And each one, each of our styles is unique and different.
Yeah.
And if I see you, doing that, I will share your work because more people need us to see that and to see us backing each other up, I think it's crummy just to be like, oh no, this is my thing. You can't do that.
Right.
It's like, no, you don't own pet portraits or you don't own this or that. It's like, for goodness sakes, people have been doing this, long before I even existed on the planet. So, who am I to be like, oh, I'm the only one that can do this? When I see people acting like that with a big ego, it's a huge turnoff.
Yeah, it's immature. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, I think we have a great homework assignment for one of our guests out there. See who can be the most devoted pet parent and can get get a half dozen or a dozen local artists to interpret your furry critter.
Yes.
that's kind of neat though, because then you can have bragging rights too when your friends come over. Be like, yeah, my pet Skittles or whatever it is, yeah, Skittles here is very famous in town. Look, like look at all the
Literally, yeah.
portraits of,
Just opens the wallet and it falls out all the photos of just, you see my baby. So yeah, I mean, so you're really into supporting other artists, and I can we can obviously see that in the way that you talk about each other, or talk about the local artists in our area. So
And you mentioned earlier, we already mentioned we want, doing a show, that's another great way to help our community.
right, because there are like artists that have participated in some shows that I've put on, and they were surprised. They're like, really? You think my work's good enough? And it's like, yeah. And that's the other thing. I know what it feels like to have poor self-esteem and to think that your work's not good enough. So if I can help somebody, see the worth in themselves and their work, then that makes me feel good.
Yeah. Art is worth so much more than just dollars and cents or anything like that. It's an expression of yourself, and you should be proud of it.
I agree.
shouldn't be afraid to put that out there and just make. We recently, well, I don't know how recently we posted about this, but of the importance of mental health and making. It's very important to get that out there because, like Jill said, she'll go crazy.
It's true. It's very true. It's
So-
and it does relieve, like say, if you're going through like a depression, if you can use, whatever feelings you have, to, I mean, like I've painted works where I was sad, and I used the blue colors, and I've done a self portrait where it's the paint's very watery because I'm feeling sad, so it's like tears, but it can be is cathartic the word I'm
Yeah,
looking for,
exactly.
to kind of like work through your emotions and create something, get it out on canvas, and then turn like an ugly emotion into something beautiful.
Oh, I love it.
Beautiful.
Fantastic sentiment here.
Yes, definitely. Um,
Well, we've blazed through
Yeah,
our question list. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to?
Oh Lord.
Because you got a long list here of amazing things you've done. Can I bring something up?
Yeah, sure.
On the notes that you brought, it says you work in metallic tempera.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is because I am a dumb person.
No.
Can you tell me what that is?
Okay, well, I have bottles of okay, so tempera is, I don't know what it's made of. I'd actually have to Google it, tell you the truth. But I have bottles of metallic paint, and it says tempera on them, that my father gave them to me a while back because I was creating before he retired from teaching. He had me come in and make sets for a play that the kids were doing, and so I used that paint to like do a dragon and a knight and everything, and they were large scale too. So as I said, like that kind of stuff's intimidating. So
Yeah.
I had to make them panel by panel by panel, to be hung up. But the tempera, I want to say that like there's eggs in there, but I don't know if I'm right.
it's a water-soluble binder medium, usually glutinous materials such as egg yolks.
Ha ha ha! See, so I kind of knew.
Yes, eggs.
Shelby was quick with the phone there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like basically, guys, it's shiny. I love it. And I like to use it to accent my pieces, whether it be like just like rubbing it on the background and then patting it off with paper towels, so it just has a kind of like a, I don't know if patina's the word I'm looking for, but it kind of accents like the ridges if I do something textured, for example, or if I just want to add, just like an extra touch of something special, so when you take the canvas and you see it in a certain light, it glows. I like to add little specks like in hair or in eyes or as accents around, like say I do like a like a fancy frame around whatever it is I might be doing, just that little touch. I
Jazz it
think.
up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I like to use. So, and I have a ton of it.
Lots of egg yolks.
Oh yeah.
So what got you into face painting as an art form? I know you do a lot of like with your photo shoots, you'll kind of become this character and do photo shoots, but I know you also do face painting.
I do. Now I first now this goes back to just makeup in general. As a teenager, with poor self-esteem, once I discovered makeup could, severely alter my features, I was hooked, and I loved turning myself into anything and everything, and especially when around Halloween time when you can not be yourself and you could just take on the role of like another character and kind of, put a mask on. I loved that. And so that's kind of where I first started, painting the faces. But when it goes to, like actual face painting, I worked at Apple Holler, and I seen that they needed a face painter, and I'm like, shoot, I can do that. I paint, it's like what, it's like, okay, there's cheeks, skin, that's a canvas. Wonderful. And so I went out there for, their fall season, and, I did it for quite a few years out there, actually, sat outside and, you could, little ladybug on the cheek, something simple, because sometimes kids don't like to sit still, or something, more elaborate. You could do butterfly masks around the eyes, or for like those that are willing to sit, you could do a whole face, turn them into vampires or zombies or whatever it is. And the kids loved it, the parents loved it. And yeah, that's a little side hustle of mine too. I'm available for birthday parties. So, and sometimes I just like, and even just like fairs or small events, like around Easter time, somebody might need me for, the Easter Bunny's over there. We have a face painter over there, and I'm happy to do it. And I'd be happy to teach others how to do it as well. It could be very lucrative. It's a good skill set to have. So I
Definitely.
enjoy it. I enjoy it.
And you've had the experience of already working on the skin. So
Yeah, and it's so much easier than tattooing.
non-permanent.
That's a relief.
Yeah, and I've even worked on children. They're scared to have something on their face. So I'm like, so I'll call it a tattoo. I'm like, can I draw a tattoo on your hand? And then they're okay with that. That's less scary, because some of them are shy, and the parents are like, yeah, go get one. And they're like, I don't wanna. And I'm just like, so I always try to make them feel calm and just chill, and like the shy ones, I don't make eye contact. I just kind of talk my way through it until they feel relaxed, and I'll let them play with the brushes, and I'll be like, here, do you want to try painting me? And then they'll see that, and I'll be like, see, it doesn't hurt. And that stems from I used to work in a daycare, and I used to work for Kenosha Unified School District as well, so I've got experience working with children, and so that comes in handy sometimes when I'm doing face painting.
Oh, that's nice. You've got a lot in your tool chest. I will say you've.
Yeah, I like to refer to myself as a Jill of all trades, or a Renaissance woman. I've acquired many skills over the years, and I'm a master of none, but I sure have a lot of them.
Another one we probably should touch on. It's not a visual art, but you part of Women in Motion, and that's a fantastic expression as well.
I adore being a part of Women in Motion. I discovered the group, I want to say, was it 3 years ago at least? When the Danish was still up, there was around Halloween, there was they were promoting a witches ball, and I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. So I put on some witchy garb, and there were vendors there, and people in costume, and then in came the dancing witches, and I was immediately hooked. I'm like, wow, these ladies are cool. And I ended up following them, from bar to bar the rest of the night. And I'm like, how do I join? And they said, just come to practice. And I said, that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. So I did. And it was one of the best things I ever did for myself, because I've got a wonderful group of friends now because of it that are inspiring and do good for the community. What I really love about being a part of Women in Motion is the fact that we get together and we vote to fundraise for local charities so we can give back to the community. So we've raised money for Creative Space, for Kindred Kitties, for the LGBT Center in Racine. So we keep it local, and we do seasonal dances, and we all love to be active, and we all love to dress up in costume and just have fun. And it's wonderful. And I encourage the listeners to check out Women in Motion page, Kenosha on Facebook, and follow us. And if you want to join us, I'm in charge of posting the dance schedule and the performances. And just don't be shy. Just show up. We'll welcome you with open arms, and we'll teach you. And none of us are professionals. We're definitely amateur, but we have fun. We have a lot of fun.
It looks like a lot of fun, I'll be honest.
Yeah. and it's open to anybody. It's called Women in Motion, but it doesn't matter. Anyone can come dance
Anybody
with us.
can be a woman.
Yes. Exactly. So it's wonderful. Right now we're doing Maypole. Is the one that we do right now. We have a mobile maypole that we cart around with us, and we just performed at the Kenosha Women's Club, and our first local or not local, open to everybody performance. Anyone can come watch us. We'll be at the Harbor Market, the opening day on the 14th. It's a Saturday this year, so if you come out at noon, you can see. Just keep your eyes open. You'll see a big, tall maypole with flowing, colorful ribbons, and a bunch of women in white with, flowers in their hair. And it's a lot of fun.
We're probably airing this in June. So
you're going to miss.
Got anything coming up in June, July, August over the summer?
So if you can't time travel back to May when we're doing this, you can look forward to October, which is when we do our witches dance.
yes.
That is the most the most well-known one around here that we do, because we go all out, like full costume, full makeup. We've got brooms that light up. The whole thing's choreographed, and we'll do, pub crawls. But this year, we're not going to be doing pub crawls. This year, I think we need a new place to hold a witches ball. So stay tuned for that. We'll be announcing in September.
Nice.
Follow that page on Facebook and for up-to-date info. And don't miss it. It's going to be a hoot. Well, we can kind of tie that into where can people find you? People that
Oh, sure.
want to buy your work or look at your work.
Okay. Well, on Facebook, I've got Jill C. Zgorzelski. On Facebook. You can go to my art page there, and just feel free to tap on any of the photo albums there, and you can get a glimpse of all the different styles and pieces that I do. I use that as almost like an online gallery. A lot of the work on there has sold, but I'm in the process of updating my online shop so you can buy prints. Or if you want to reach me for pet portraits, you can reach me through that site as well. Also on Instagram, I think it's Jill C. Zgorzelski. It's either Jill Zgorzelski or Jill C. Zgorzelski. It's type in my last name. It guaranteed it's going to be me. Okay,
Good
Zgorzelski. Just type that in, you'll find me.
Do it.
And TikTok. I also have a TikTok as well. I always forget if I add my middle initial or not when I do it. Just either look Jill C. Zgorzelski or Jill Zgorzelski on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. And go to Women in Motion Kenosha on Facebook as well, and you can find me there, find out when we're going to be dancing as well. So,
And you've got some art here available.
do come to Lemon Street Gallery as well. I happen to be a member of the board of directors.
Yes. A fantastic member.
Thank you. Yeah, make sure to stop in, and you can grab one of my business cards if you're local here, and reach out onto me. The fastest way to get a hold of me is honestly through Facebook Messenger. I mean, you can email me. I check that daily as well. But if you just want to, talk to me fast, just use Messenger. I prefer that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're everywhere, so it's not hard to find you.
Yeah, I'm pretty noticeable.
Popping up shows everywhere.
We wouldn't have it any other way. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on the show. We loved having you.
Oh, I appreciate you asking me. I was looking forward to this. Thank you so much.
Yay. And you can find the ArtSpace podcast on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, it's the ArtSpace Pod, and Facebook, it is just the ArtSpace Podcast. You can also listen to us on YouTube, the ArtSpace Podcast YouTube channel. And you can listen to us on all your podcast providers.
Yeah, if there's any out there that you would prefer to listen to us on, please let us know. We'll try to get those added. I know we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple,
Stitcher.
Stitcher.
You can find us.
Come on into Lemon Street and yell at us. What's that address?
Yes, at 4601 Sheridan Road
In Kenosha.
Kenosha, Wisconsin. So, well, thank you so much again, Jill, for joining us and giving us your perspective on art and your art in the art community. Thank you.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Yeah.
Tune in next week.
And we'll see ya.
Bye.
Depression, addiction, the thrill that you seek. Our restlessness cage is the fire we need. We're here to inspire.